The night shift at Earth's Deep Space Monitoring Station was usually quiet. Most operators spent their time watching endless streams of data, tracking known objects, and occasionally noting the paths of distant comets. But tonight was different. Jack Thompson sat up straight in his chair, his coffee forgotten as he stared at the readings on his screen. He checked them 3 times before hitting the emergency alert button. The soft blue lights of the command center suddenly turned red, and a low alarm began to sound. "Sir," he called out to his supervisor, "you need to see this." Station Chief Robert Wilson hurried over, his face showing concern. He leaned over Jack's shoulder, studying the data streams. His eyes widened as he processed what he was seeing. "How many?" Wilson asked, his voice barely a whisper. "At least 300 large objects, moving in formation," Jack replied. "They're maintaining perfect spacing." "This isn't natural." "Sir, these are ships." Wilson grabbed his secure phone and dialed a number he had hoped never to use. "Get me Admiral Walker. Authorization code Wilson 79 Delta. This is not a drill." In the heart of the United Earth Defense Force headquarters beneath the Rocky Mountains, Admiral James Walker was awakened by the urgent call. Within 15 minutes, he stood in the command center, surrounded by holographic displays showing the approaching fleet. "Show me everything," he ordered. The main screen filled with data. The alien fleet was massive, hundreds of ships arranged in a perfect arrow formation. They were still beyond Mars' orbit, but they were moving fast, their engines leaving traces that Earth's sensors could detect. "Have they responded to any attempts at communication?" Walker asked. "No, sir," responded Communications Officer Lisa Brown. "We've tried all known frequencies, including the universal greeting signal agreed upon by the Galactic Council. They're receiving our signals, we can tell that much, but they're choosing not to respond." Walker studied the tactical display. The AI analysis flashed a warning he dreaded seeing. 97% match with historical invasion fleet configurations. This was no diplomatic mission. "What's their estimated time of arrival?" he asked. "At current speed, they'll reach Earth's orbit in 72 hours, answered Technical Officer Mike Green. "But sir, there's something else you should see." Green pulled up another display, showing energy readings from the fleet. "Their power signatures are off the charts. Each of those ships is generating more energy than all of North America combined. We've never seen technology like this." Walker's face remained calm, but his mind was racing. Humanity had only achieved faster than light travel 30 years ago. They were still newcomers to the galactic community, and their technology was considered primitive by many standards. But they had prepared for this day. "Begin Emergency Protocol Omega," Walker commanded, "and get me the military council. All of them." As alerts went out across Earth and its colonies, the alien fleet continued its steady advance. In cities around the world, people looked up at the night sky, knowing that somewhere out there, an armada was heading their way. Many were afraid, but years of preparation had readied humanity for this moment. In his office, Walker looked at an old photo on his desk. It showed Earth from space, beautiful and vulnerable. He had sworn to protect it, and now that oath would be tested. "Send the following message to the approaching fleet," he ordered. Simple text only, all frequencies. "You have entered restricted space. This is your only warning. Leave now." The message was sent, repeating every 30 seconds in all known languages. The alien fleet maintained its course, seemingly dismissing the warning from what they considered an inferior species. They would soon learn that humanity's apparent technological disadvantage didn't tell the whole story. Earth had one advantage that the aliens hadn't counted on. Humans were masters of preparing for the worst. As the first day of the crisis drew to a close, Admiral Walker looked at the tactical display one last time before heading to the council meeting. The alien fleet's arrow formation hadn't changed, a sign of either supreme confidence or supreme arrogance. "They think we're primitive," he muttered to himself. "Let's hope they keep thinking that." The military council chamber was filled with tension. 12 leaders from Earth's unified defense forces sat around a circular table, their faces lit by the holographic display of the approaching alien fleet in the center. Admiral Walker stood at his position, addressing the council. "Ladies and gentlemen, we have 48 hours before they reach Earth's orbit. Our warning has been ignored." General Anna Harris, commander of Earth's ground forces, spoke first. "How do our weapons compare to theirs?" "Badly," said Technical Officer Mike Green, pulling up comparison charts. "Their smallest ship has enough firepower to level a city. Their shields appear to be far beyond our technology. In a straight fight, we wouldn't last an hour." The room fell silent. Then Colonel Peter Wright, head of Special Operations, smiled slightly. "Good thing we're not planning a straight fight." Admiral Walker nodded. "Exactly. Operation Shadow Shield is ready. We've spent 20 years preparing for this moment. Everything we've shown the galaxy, every piece of primitive technology they've seen, has been carefully selected." He pressed a button, and the hologram changed to show Earth's real defense network. Hidden stations, secret weapons, and carefully concealed capabilities appeared in glowing blue lines. "The aliens think they're dealing with a young species that barely understands space travel," Walker continued. "They don't know that we've been watching them for years, studying their technology, finding their weaknesses." General Harris leaned forward. "The bait is set." "Yes," Walker replied. "They've scanned our planet multiple times. They see exactly what we want them to see. A world depending on nuclear power plants, with basic space defenses and primitive weapons. They think we're powering up our reactors in desperation." Defense Minister Thomas Reed, the only civilian in the room, raised his hand. "The civilian casualties. If we're wrong about this." "We're not wrong," Colonel Wright interrupted. "Every simulation shows the same result. They'll follow their standard invasion pattern. They always do. Their arrogance is their weakness." Walker brought up another display, showing population centers around the world. "The bunker cities are ready. We can have 60% of Earth's population underground within 6 hours. The rest are already being evacuated to hardened shelters." "And the fleet?" asked General Harris. "Still not responding to communications," Walker answered. "But they've changed course slightly. They're aiming for our largest cities, just as predicted." Minister Reed stood up. "Then we're agreed? We proceed with the plan." One by one, the council members voted. The decision was unanimous. Walker turned to Communications Officer Lisa Brown. "Send the final warning. Use the emergency broadcast system. Every channel, every device." Around the world, phones buzzed, screens flickered, and speakers crackled to life. The message was simple. "Attention all citizens. This is not a drill. Proceed to your designated shelter immediately. Remain calm. Follow all instructions." In cities across Earth, people moved with practiced efficiency. Regular drills over the years had prepared them for this moment. Streets filled with families walking calmly to underground entrances, carrying only what they needed. Back in the council chamber, Walker watched the evacuation numbers climbing. "Look at our people," he said quietly. "No panic, no chaos. The aliens expect us to run around in terror. Instead, we move like a well-oiled machine. Send our final message to the alien fleet," he ordered. Lisa Brown typed quickly, and the message went out. "This is Earth's final communication. You were warned. What happens next is your choice." The alien fleet's response came quickly this time. A video transmission showed their commander, a tall, metallic being with glowing eyes. "Primitive species do not make demands of the Dominion," it said. "Your defiance is noted. Your extinction is imminent." Walker looked at the alien's face, noting the contempt in its expression. "They still think we're helpless," he said to the council. "Perfect." As the alien's image faded, Colonel Wright smiled again. "They have no idea what they're flying into, do they?" "No," Walker replied. watching the evacuation numbers reach 50%. They don't. And that's exactly how we want it. Colonel Mary Stone stood on the observation deck of Luna Base, watching Earth grow smaller as her shuttle climbed toward the hidden orbital defense platforms. The blue planet below was already showing signs of change. Cities going dark as people moved underground. "Status report," she called over the radio. "Platform Ring 1 is powered up and ready," replied Captain Tom Roberts from Luna Base Control. "All 30 satellites showing green status. Ring 2 will be online in 20 minutes." Mary smiled. The aliens had spotted some of their orbital defenses, the obvious ones they'd left visible. But they hadn't found the true defense grid, hidden in plain sight disguised as communication satellites and space debris. "Team leaders, sound off," she ordered. One by one, the commanders of Earth's orbital defense teams reported in. Each platform was a masterpiece of deception. On the outside, they looked like ordinary satellites. Inside, they held weapons that had never been tested in real combat. "Ma'am," called out her pilot, "look at this." Mary turned to see new data streaming across their screens. The alien fleet had passed Mars and was accelerating. Their massive ships moved with deadly grace, their formation shifting into attack positions. Back on Earth, Admiral Walker watched the same data from the underground command center. The evacuation was nearly complete. Over 80% of Earth's population was now safely below ground. "Show me the reactor grid," he ordered. The display changed to show thousands of points of light across Earth's surface, every nuclear power plant running at full capacity. To the aliens, it would look like Earth was desperately gathering power for its defenses. They couldn't know the truth. In orbit, Mary's shuttle docked with Platform 0, the command station for the entire defense grid. As she floated through the airlock, her team was already at their stations. "All platforms, begin power-up sequence," she ordered. "Remember your training. Slow and steady. We don't want them detecting any power spikes." The platforms responded one by one, each drawing a tiny amount of power, not enough to register on alien scanners, but together they were building something massive. "Admiral," Mary called over the secure channel, "the grid is ready. We're starting to see some curious scans from the alien fleet. They might suspect something." "Let them look," Walker replied. "Everything they see will confirm what they want to believe, that we're primitive and desperate." On the alien flagship, the beings known as the Dominion watched Earth's activities with growing amusement. Their scans showed exactly what they expected: a young species scrambling to mount a defense with primitive nuclear technology. But in hidden bunkers across Earth, humanity's true technology was waking up. Quantum computers that had been kept secret from the galaxy processed battle scenarios. Weapons that mixed old and new technology stood ready. "Last status check," Walker called out. "All sections report." "Ground forces ready," reported General Harris. "All bunker cities sealed and secure. Orbital defense grid at full capacity," added Colonel Stone from space. "All platforms showing green." "Luna Base standing by," Captain Roberts chimed in. "Our special surprise package is ready for delivery." Walker looked at the tactical display one last time. The alien fleet was now just hours away, their massive ships casting shadows on Mars as they passed. "They think they're hunting us," he said quietly. "They don't realize we've been hunting them." Mary watched from Platform 0 as the alien fleet grew larger in their scopes. Their ships were beautiful in a terrifying way, sleek, powerful, and utterly confident in their superiority. "Look at how they're spreading out," she noted to her crew. "Classic attack formation. They're not even trying to hide their intentions anymore." "Platform 17 reports unusual readings," called out one of her officers. "The aliens are doing deep scans of our reactor network." "Let them look," Mary replied, echoing Walker's earlier words. "Everything they see will make them more confident, and confidence makes you careless." As the alien fleet entered the final approach, humanity held its breath and waited. The trap was set. The grid was ready. Now they just needed the aliens to take the bait. All stations, Walker's voice came over the general channel. Prepare for Phase 2. Remember, no matter what happens next, we only gave them one warning. The massive alien ship appeared on all screens across Earth's command centers. Its surface gleamed with a metallic sheen that seemed to absorb light. The being that appeared on the transmission stood tall, its body covered in what looked like liquid metal armor. "I am the director of the Dominion fleet," it announced. Its voice had been translated into Earth's languages, but still carried a cold, mechanical tone. "Your resistance is noted. Your defiance is pointless." Admiral Walker stood calmly before the screen in the underground command center. He had waited for this moment, the first direct contact with the aliens who thought they would easily conquer Earth. "You received our warning," Walker replied simply. "You chose to ignore it." The director's glowing eyes narrowed. "Primitive species do not give orders to the Dominion. We have conquered 1,000 worlds. Your technology is centuries behind ours. Your weapons are basic. Your defenses are laughable." As the director spoke, Walker watched other screens showing Earth's true preparations. Colonel Stone's orbital platforms were in perfect position. Captain Roberts had Luna Base ready. Every piece was in place. "Look at your world," the director continued. "Your cities go dark. Your people hide underground. You power up your simple nuclear reactors in desperation. This is the behavior of prey, not warriors." Walker allowed himself a small smile. "You're right about one thing. We are powering up every reactor on the planet." The director's expression showed a mix of amusement and contempt. "A futile gesture. Your entire planet's nuclear arsenal cannot penetrate our weakest shields." In orbit, Colonel Stone watched the exchange from Platform 0. Her team continued their careful power buildup, hidden from the alien scans. The Dominion fleet had spread out exactly as predicted, positioning their ships to target Earth's major population centers. "They're starting to power up their main weapons," one of her officers reported. "Let them," Stone replied. "Just keep our power signatures low and steady." Back in the command center, the director was finishing its speech. "We offer you one chance. Surrender now, and we will make your extinction quick and painless. Resist, and we will ensure your people suffer before the end." Walker looked at the tactical display. The alien fleet had moved into perfect position. Their overconfidence had made them predictable. "You know," Walker said, "for an advanced species, you make some very basic mistakes." The director's eyes flashed with anger. "You dare mock the Dominion?" "No," Walker replied. "I'm just making an observation. You saw it exactly what we wanted you to see. You believed exactly what we wanted you to believe. And now you're exactly where we want you to be." For the first time, a flicker of uncertainty crossed the director's face. "Your primitive deceptions cannot." "Did you ever wonder," Walker interrupted, "why we were really powering up every nuclear reactor on the planet? Did you think we were that stupid?" In orbit, Colonel Stone received the signal she had been waiting for. "All platforms, prepare for power transfer. Stand by for Phase 2. The director's next words died in its throat as new readings appeared on the Dominion screens. The power signatures from Earth's reactors were changing, linking together in ways their sensors hadn't detected before. "What is this?" the director demanded. "This," Walker said calmly, "is humanity showing you why we only needed to warn you once." The director's image suddenly flickered as its ship detected massive energy buildups across Earth's surface. But the energy wasn't forming into weapon beams or shield barriers. It was becoming something else entirely. "All stations," Walker commanded. "Execute Phase 2. Show them what primitive really means." The director's last words before the transmission cut off were filled with something new. The first hints of fear. In the space around Earth, humanity's trap was about to spring shut. The space between Earth and the Moon lit up like a second sun. Every nuclear reactor on the planet had been charging not weapons, but the largest electromagnetic pulse device ever built. The trap was sprung. All platforms, release containment, Colonel Stone ordered from her command station. Full power, all sectors. The hidden defense platforms came alive, each one adding its power to the massive wave building up around Earth. The aliens had expected missiles, lasers, or primitive nuclear weapons. Instead, they got something much worse. Energy wave expanding, reported Captain Roberts from Luna Base. First contact with enemy fleet in 5 seconds. On the Dominion ships, alarms began screaming. Their advanced sensors detected the approaching energy wave, but too late to react. The director watched in horror as the electromagnetic pulse swept toward them. Impossible, it muttered. Their technology. They couldn't. The pulse hit the first line of alien ships, their beautiful energy shields, designed to stop weapons far more advanced than Earth's, did nothing against this primitive attack. The pulse passed right through them. Direct hit on enemy fleet, Stone announced. Beginning scan for effects. The results were immediate. Across the Dominion fleet, ships began to drift. Their advanced systems, dependent on complex quantum circuits and exotic energy fields, shut down completely. The pulse had been specifically designed to target their technology's weaknesses. Admiral Walker watched from the command center as hundreds of alien ships lost power. Launch Phase 3, he ordered. All batteries, open fire. From hidden silos on Earth and the Moon, thousands of simple, solid-fuel rockets lifted off. They carried no advanced guidance systems that could be affected by the pulse. Instead, they used basic mechanics and carefully calculated trajectories. Primitive weapons approaching. A Dominion officer reported to the director, their voice filled with fear. We can't raise our shields. The director stared in disbelief. Evasive action. Get our systems back online. But the Dominion ships, stripped of their advanced technology, could only watch as Earth's primitive missiles approached. The aliens had never considered that humanity would use such basic weapons. Why would they when more advanced options existed? Missile impact in 30 seconds, reported General Harris from Earth. Enemy fleet showing no signs of recovery. The first wave of missiles struck home. Without their shields, the alien ships proved surprisingly vulnerable to simple kinetic impacts. Explosions bloomed across space as humanity's rockets found their targets. On Platform 0, Colonel Stone allowed herself a small smile. Now they understand, she said. Sometimes the oldest solutions are the best ones. Captain Roberts's voice came over the command channel. Luna Base confirms direct hits on 60% of enemy fleet. Their formation is breaking up. They're trying to retreat. The director's ship, its systems partially restored, began broadcasting on all frequencies. This is impossible. You are primitives. Your technology is inferior. No, Walker replied calmly. We just understand something you forgot long ago. The most dangerous weapon isn't the most advanced one. It's the one your enemy doesn't expect. More missiles launched from Earth and the Moon, targeting the remaining alien ships. The Dominion fleet, once so proud and organized, had scattered into chaos. Ships collided with each other as they tried to escape using emergency backup systems. Enemy fleet retreating past lunar orbit, Stone reported. 80% of their ships are either destroyed or disabled. The rest are running. Walker nodded. Let them go. They'll carry the message back to their people. The director's final transmission was filled with rage and disbelief. This isn't over. The Dominion will return. We will. The transmission cut off as another wave of missiles found their target. The director's ship, like many others, had learned too late that underestimating primitive humanity was a fatal mistake. As the remaining alien ships fled toward Mars, humanity's combined forces stood down from full alert. The trap had worked perfectly. Earth's first major victory against an alien invasion would be remembered for generations to come. The remains of the Dominion fleet drifted in space, a graveyard of metal and broken pride. Rescue pods carrying surviving alien crews blinked their surrender signals. Earth's defense forces moved carefully among the wreckage, securing their first-ever capture of advanced alien technology. Damage report. Admiral Walker called out from the command center. The underground room had changed, the tension of battle replaced by focused activity as teams assessed their victory. We lost 12 orbital platforms, Colonel Stone reported from space. 3 from enemy fire, 9 from power overload during the pulse. No casualties. All crews evacuated in time. Captain Roberts added his report from Luna Base. Minor damage to the lunar surface from missed missiles. All launch sites intact. We're already reloading for any potential second wave. Walker nodded, studying the tactical display. The electromagnetic pulse had worked better than they'd hoped. Hundreds of alien ships floated dead in space, their advanced systems completely fried. What about the survivors? General Harris asked. We're picking them up now, Stone replied. They're not taking it well. Most of them can't believe they were defeated by what they keep calling primitive weapons. On one of the rescue ships, a human team helped a group of Dominion officers aboard. The aliens' liquid metal armor had frozen solid when their power systems failed, making them look like chrome statues. You tricked us, one of them said, their translator barely working. You hid your true capabilities. The human rescue team leader shrugged. We showed you exactly what we had. You just made assumptions about what that meant. Back on Earth, cities began to emerge from underground. The bunker systems had worked perfectly, not a single civilian casualty. People came out to find their world still intact, protected by the simple but effective strategies their leaders had planned for years. In orbit, Colonel Stone supervised the recovery efforts. Sir, she called to Walker, you should see what we're finding in these ships. Their technology is incredible, or it was, before the pulse fried it. Document everything, Walker ordered. But don't try to repair any of it yet. I have a feeling the Dominion built in some nasty surprises for anyone who tries to steal their technology. A junior officer rushed into the command center. Sir, we're picking up long-range communications. The retreating Dominion ships are broadcasting to their home world. Walker smiled. Let's hear it. The translation came through clearly. Emergency warning to all Dominion forces. Earth defense capabilities far exceed intelligence estimates. Electromagnetic warfare beyond expected parameters. Do not engage. Repeat, do not engage. They still don't understand, General Harris said, shaking her head. They think we have some advanced EMP technology. They haven't figured out that we just used basic physics and careful planning. In space, the cleanup continued. Earth's ships gathered the dead alien vessels, carefully towing them to holding areas for study. Each captured ship would provide valuable information about their opponents. Admiral, Stone called, we found something interesting in the director's ship logs. They've never lost a first invasion attempt before. Not once in their entire history. Walker stood at his command station, looking at the images of Earth's first major space victory. Well, he said, there's a first time for everything. A message from the Galactic Council arrived, congratulating Earth on defending itself. But there was a warning, too. The Dominion wouldn't forget this defeat easily. Let them remember, Walker said to his staff. Let them tell everyone how Earth stopped their unbeatable fleet. And let them remember the most important lesson. We only warn once. As the day ended, humanity began its recovery work. Teams of engineers studied the disabled alien ships, learning their weaknesses. Defense forces started repairing the orbital grid, making it stronger based on the battle's lessons. The victory had proven something important. Sometimes the best defense isn't the most advanced technology, but the smartest way of using what you have. Earth had shown the galaxy that being called primitive wasn't an insult. It was an advantage their enemies shouldn't ignore. 3 months after the battle, Admiral Walker stood at a podium in the newly built Global Defense Center. Representatives from every nation on Earth had gathered to hear his speech about humanity's first major victory in space. We didn't win because we were stronger, he said to the crowd. We won because we were smarter. We won because we remembered something the Dominion forgot. Sometimes the oldest solutions are the best ones. In orbit, Colonel Stone watched the speech from the new Command Platform 1. The old orbital defense grid had been rebuilt, stronger than before. This time, they didn't bother hiding it. Let the galaxy see what Earth could do. Platform status, she asked her crew. All systems normal, replied her second-in-command. And the alien ships are still coming to watch. She smiled at that. Ever since the battle, ships from across the galaxy have been arriving to see the world that defeated the Dominion. They kept their distance, but their message was clear. Earth was no longer considered a primitive backwater. Captain Roberts called in from Luna Base. Colonel, you should see today's reports from our deep space monitors. 3 more Dominion fleet groups changed course to avoid Earth's solar system. Good, Stone replied. Looks like they can learn after all. Back on Earth, Walker continued his speech. The Dominion thought they could ignore our warning because they saw us as primitive. They didn't understand that being called primitive just meant we remembered how to solve problems without relying on advanced technology. The captured alien ships had taught humanity many things. The Dominion's technology was incredible, but it had a critical weakness. They had forgotten how to function without it. They had no backup systems, no simple solutions, no plan B. We've received messages from 17 worlds that were under Dominion control, Walker announced. They've all declared independence. The Dominion fleet that ran from Earth arrived home telling stories about a primitive species that destroyed their unbeatable ships with simple weapons and basic physics. The crowd cheered. In the 3 months since the battle, Earth had gained more respect in the galaxy than it had in the 30 years since achieving faster-than-light travel. General Harris stood up next, holding a data tablet. The Galactic Council has officially recognized Earth's right to defend its space. More importantly, they've accepted our application to join the Council's Defense Committee. They want to learn our primitive strategies. In the debris field where the battle had taken place, Earth ships continued their cleanup work. They had recovered enough alien technology to advance their science by decades. But unlike the Dominion, they wouldn't forget their roots. We're building a memorial here, Stone told her crew, looking at the construction ships working nearby. Not to celebrate our victory, but to remind us of the lesson we taught the galaxy. The memorial would be simple, a giant metal sphere with Earth's warning carved into its surface in every known language. Leave now. Simple, direct, and impossible to ignore. Walker finished his speech by holding up a piece of the director's ship. The Dominion thought being advanced meant being superior. We proved them wrong. They'll be back someday, with new weapons and new technology. But they'll find us ready, just like before. As people began to leave the ceremony, a final message arrived from deep space. The Dominion had sent a formal notice to all worlds. Earth's solar system was now listed as extremely dangerous. No invasion attempts authorized. Walker showed the message to his staff, and they all shared a laugh. The most powerful empire in the galaxy now feared Earth's primitive weapons more than advanced alien technology. Send them a response, Walker said. Keep it simple. The message Earth sent back contained only 4 words. We warned you once. In the years that followed, those words became famous across the galaxy. Species far more advanced than humanity would remember the lesson Earth taught the Dominion. Never underestimate a civilization that remembers its primitive roots. And always take them seriously when they give you a warning.